Being healthy also means staying safe, and women need all the backup we can get. Luckily, this week on Healthy Living Central Florida, we have Major Christie Mysinger from the Lake County Sheriff's Office. And she's here this week to give us safety tips, whether it's online, out and about, or with people that you know. You do not want to miss this one. Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to Healthy Living Central Florida. I'm your host, Gina Horan. Well, living healthy also means living safely, and we women do have some special challenges out there in this crazy mixed up world. But today we have the perfect person to help us navigate those challenges. I have in studio Major Christie Mysinger from the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Welcome, Christie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Well, we met last year when you were captain, and we had such a fun interview, and you're really one of my favorite interviews because you have such a great story, and now you're a major, right? Major
yes.
badass. Okay, I said it. And when we chatted, you know, you and I are pretty much around the same age, and so coming up in the 80s and 90s, I was in a male-dominated field of sports broadcasting, so it's like a B level, but you were in like major A levels of, you know, having to navigate all of that being in a man's world. So let's talk about how you got started, how you got inspired, your first big gig, and then we'll go from there.
Well, like we had talked about last year, when I was a kid, I was enthralled with Adam 12 and all of those cop shows that were out there. And I had a love for law enforcement right from the very beginning. I learned to shoot when I was very young. I grew up in Arizona. And I kind of knew pretty young that was a field I wanted to go into. Unfortunately, though, at 5'2" and 100 pounds soaking wet at that time, it wasn't... there wasn't a lot of people pushing me for that career, and my family had a background in more into medicine. So I started out actually looking at EMS. It was a way of being out in the field and out in the excitement of it all and still helping people. So I started out my career in Detroit. At the time, I lived there with my father when I graduated high school and went on to college there, started for my EMT. And my first job was with a company called ECS in downtown Detroit. And I worked on an ambulance in the riverfront area. I met a very small Detroit police officer, a young black woman, who was phenomenal. I mean, I would stare at her in awe. She was living my dream. And she was actually smaller than me. And I remember saying to her, you know, is it hard? Are you struggling? And she was like, if this is the job you want to do, you need to do it. After 3 winters in Michigan, I was like, I got to get back to sunshine. I cannot do the gray skies for 4 months. Nothing against the Michiganders out there.
Right.
I love the state.
But you grew up in Arizona.
I grew up in Arizona, so it was really hard to not see the sun for such a long time. At the time, the young man that I was dating, his family lived down here in Florida, so we came down for spring break, and it was like, okay, yeah, we're moving. We're moving to Florida. Needless to say, I got down to Florida and I went to look into how to transfer my EMT credentials to the state of Florida. Well, I found out that the police academy and the EMS academy were at the same technical schools that wherever you went to. They had a night class starting with the Lacucci Technical College, which
is that near here?
It's in Citrus County. Yep. They had a night class there. So I looked into the law enforcement side and I said, you know what? If I'm going to do it, now's the time to do it. Let the EMS stuff fall behind. Let's jump into the law enforcement. And I did. And that's what started my career here as a law enforcement officer in Florida.
Okay, so now how old were you and when exactly?
19. I was 19 years old.
Wow.
And I graduated. I actually started my career with Sumter County Sheriff's Office. I graduated on a Tuesday night, and Wednesday morning I was undercover in the middle school in South Sumter Middle, working for Sumter County Sheriff's Office on a grant where they were doing undercover narcotics work in the schools. My partner was in the high school. I was in the middle school. So that was my start. I was 21 Jump Street before there was 21 Jump Street.
I love that.
It was not nearly as glamorous as they made it look on television. I can tell you that. I had to ride the school bus because I was too young to drive. So it had its challenges, but it was a great first start. Then when that grant ended, I had just turned 20. And I lived in Lake County, and I knew I wanted to come to Lake County. So I applied at that time with the Lake County Sheriff's Office and moved on over, and I've been here ever since. It'll coming up on 34 years in May will be my 34th anniversary.
So okay, inquiring minds want to know what year was this around when you were trying to be a junior high school kid? And
1990.
1990.
Okay. So it was fall of 90, spring of 91.
So how did you find the clothes? Like what was that all about?
Fortunately for me, my boyfriend at the time, who I was actually engaged to, his stepsister was in middle school. So I literally went shopping with her and let her pick out all my outfits. And she taught me about New Kids on the Block and all the things that were the rage of the middle school age kind of group at that time. And if it had not been for her, for Kathy, I would have probably fumbled all over myself. But I just mimicked what she did and tried to follow along with what was hot and hip and cool at that time. And it worked.
That is awesome. Like you would have been so busted unless you had your, youth advisor, right?
Yes, I had a great youth advisor, and she literally helped me fit into that mold of how to talk with the words
right.
And there were times I messed up and I said a word that was a little bit older than maybe.
Yeah.
And a few kids called me out on it. Wow, you use big words. And I had to come up with a quick, well, I only am around adults. I'm never around kids. So.
Right. I'm an only child.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I had a sister because my sister was my partner in the high school.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oddly enough.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Some of my employees that work with me at the sheriff's office now, I have a sergeant that works with me. His wife was in one of my classes. He was at the high school with as a student in high school. I have a couple of different employees in the sheriff's office who were in those schools at the time I was working undercover.
Okay.
And now they work with me in the sheriff's office. So
I love
that's a kind of a spin around.
Yes, full circle.
Full circle.
Okay, so talk about then after your 21 Jump Street scenario, moving up and kind of like what were you facing, because you seem like you just get on with things after talking to you, but it wasn't always easy.
It's trial by error. I mean, I made mistakes. I made plenty of them, fell on my face, got up, dusted myself off. Fortunately, my father had a really, really strong work ethic. Both my parents did. And, I would always kind of reach for that. If you fall, it's okay. Get up, dust yourself off, try again. Those kind of things. Don't be discouraged. Just keep going. And, the early years were always hard because at that time there were so few women in law enforcement. I think I was one of like maybe 5 on road patrol at the time. So we were kind of an anomaly, and my size being as little as I was, that kind of, some people, might have looked down that I might not be able to handle myself or whatnot. Once they got to work with me, they saw that I was pretty good at getting myself in and out of situations. The use of your brain and your mouth is more important than the use of the muscles because it's all about talking to people and connecting. It's how we de-escalate situations. It's how we put people at ease. The job is not about putting people in jail. The job is about helping people on the worst day of their life in many cases. And we're not going to see them at their best. And remembering that it's not personal, remembering that this is not a bad person. This is a person in a bad situation who's having a bad day or maybe made a bad decision. It doesn't make them bad. It just means the situation, unfortunately, has unfolded to where we need to get involved in it. And using that kind of mentality helped me connect with people, helped me talk to them. And, you get a lot further with sugar than you do with salt.
I agree. And that's very sage advice because, you have to figure things out. So you talked a lot last year with me, and I'm sure it's the same about training, how important training is. And you went to school, you've got degrees, you're a granny too now, aren't you a Grammy?
I am.
So you've done all of this, but training.
Yes. Don't ever stop learning. Never, ever, ever stop learning. I don't care what it is. Don't ever stop learning. I continued off and on with college because there were times in my life I just didn't have it in me to do college and be a mom and be a wife and work.
Right.
But then there were times where I could focus more on it. So, my recommendation to the newer kid, and when I started, the college degrees were not as a big a thing at that time. It was more about taking the extra law enforcement classes. Now we've become, as a profession, we've become more professional. And so getting the well-rounded education of a college degree has become, especially when you're going up in the ranks, more of a preference.
Like your criminal justice.
Yeah, your criminal justice degrees and taking classes and going on. And of course, I did the what I call the one class at a time for life plan. So I actually didn't get my master's degree until I was 50, but I started and stopped and in between different things. But I kept at it until I actually acquired my master's degree. So, and that's what I tell people, keep training, but then also keep training your body. I not only practice what I learned, I became an instructor so that I could teach at the academy, because the best way to keep my skill set was by teaching. And I found that worked the best for me. So I continued to teach. I taught defense tactics, firearms, driving, all of those things that we need to have as skills in this profession. And teaching helps keep you not only up to date on some of the newest trends and maneuvers, but it also keeps that muscle memory up. Because unfortunately, it's like anything else. We learn to do something, we don't practice it, and then when we need it, we fumble through it. We don't do it with ease and grace and speed. And the best way to do it is to just practice over and over and over again until you've mastered that, to where you don't even have to think about it. It becomes a memory that your muscle just does. And the way I equate this to people that might not understand what I mean, it's kind of like being a mom. And even dads too. I don't want to put dads out. Moms and dads, but you see it especially with moms. And I don't care what's going on, but if you're driving a car and somebody stops quickly, without even thinking about it, the arm goes flying across the seat. Sometimes the kid's there, sometimes they're not, but the arm has gone there because instinctively we've done that protection mode over and over again. And that's what you want your training to become. You want it to become an instinctive reaction that you don't have to think about.
I love that. And we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, she's going to teach us some safety tips when we're out there in the crazy world. So more with Major Christie Mysinger when we come back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Healthy Living Central Florida. I'm your host, Jean Horan, here with Major Christie Mysinger of the Lake County Sheriff's Office. So now you're going to teach us, we're going to learn a little about safety out in the world. I was a sorority advisor for quite a few years, and I would always teach the girls 90% of this is preventative, and you can really change your fortune. You can do anything by prevention, by being aware of things around you, because honestly, that's really what it is. I mean, I think guy jumping out of bushes is terrible, but it's not, the prevalent thing that happens every single day to people. It's things that you can prevent. So you had told me that your daughter is also up at college, and you said that she was sort of the mother hen of her group. Talk about that in ways, we'll start with young women, how they can stay safe in today's world.
Yeah, my daughter is actually she's in her first year at veterinary college at UF. She also did her undergrad. Well, she did the first 2 years at Lake Sumter State, and then went up to UF to finish her undergrad in animal sciences and entomology. And she became a member of a sorority, like so many of the young ladies do.
Yes.
And she, from growing up and having me as a mom, and her father's also retired from the sheriff's office. He was a captain. He was our SWAT commander for many years at one time. And so she's heard all of the stories as she's grown up of different things. She also I would call it, had a criminal minds addiction where she had to watch every episode at least 4 or 5 times. So that also, kind of put her in that mindset of how people become victims. And what we always tell people is don't be the perfect victim. And what I mean by that is it's things that we do that allow us to fall into places and situations that with some simple awareness we could have avoided. And that's what the big thing is. So when she's been up there at college, she has taught her girlfriends some self-defense tactics that I have taught her to help her get away if somebody grabs their arm, simple ways that they can rotate out of it. And she's kind of the mother hen. She's not a drinker, so she goes with the girls if they want to all go out clubbing.
She still likes to go out.
She goes with them. She has fun, but she's the mother hen that watches. She watches the glasses. She makes sure that everybody has napkins or plastic covers over their glasses. She's the one that if somebody wants to go to the bathroom, she escorts them to the bathroom, makes sure that they come out okay. She's and she's the DD. She's the one that is the designated driver. Even for other people's kids that are up in Tallahassee, up in Gainesville, that know she's there. I actually have one of our local judges, his son's up there, and she's on his phone number to call if for any reason he needs a ride or needs help or anything from somebody close by. Any situation, they can call her and she'll come right to their aid. And she loves having that role. She likes to be the protector. I think it comes genetically.
Of course, right?
But she loves being the protector. And that's one of the things that she has passed on, the knowledge that her father and I have given to her. She has passed on to the girls in her sorority, and now even to her the ladies that she's in vet school with, which is kind of her new team that she has, her vet school students.
So I feel like the internets and your phone can be a double-edged sword because it's on, you can track somebody, there it is, you can call someone right away, but also at the same time, there's another layer of weird that can happen, online. So talk about, the way that young women, will stay here for a second, can stay safe online.
Well, some of the things is don't advertise your plans. Don't post out there, hey, I'm going to such and such tonight. 2 reasons. 1, now we know your apartment, you're not at your apartment, so that's an open invitation for a burglar.
Thievery, okay.
Yep. And then 2, if they know where you're going to be, they know where to be looking for your car, and especially if you have somebody that's been paying a lot of attention to you, maybe unwarranted or unwanted. The other thing is don't keep your Bluetooth on. Your Bluetooth can be connected to you by other phones, and that's kind of a bad way to allow somebody to get in access to your computer or your phone. If you're using a Bluetooth device like your EarPods or something, that's fine. But once you're done using them, toggle that Bluetooth switch off to eliminate some of that connectability, and that will generally help as well. There's a lot of things that you can do. Everything from the moment you leave to the moment you arrive at the new place. Don't be a creature of habit. If you're a jogger, don't jog the same path every single day.
Ooh,
that habit makes it easy for someone who starts watching you to know exactly where you're going to be at every moment. Change it up. Go a different route. Try a different location. But make sure you're staying in an area that still has good visibility to public. You don't want to go off on uncharted trails through the woods that nobody can see you, because that could lead to somebody, obviously, maybe getting a hold of you.
Sure.
We just recently had that happen up at University of Georgia here a few years ago, and everybody knows that case. And literally that was, being off on a trail somewhere. So if you're going to do that, make sure you have a buddy. Buddy system's the safest thing you can do. And anytime the girls go on trips, we tell them buddy system. My daughter and her sorority went to a trip year before last, to New Orleans to go watch a Gator game play against the
As
LSU.
you do, right?
As all college students do. My daughter calls me and says, Mom, you do have the login to my Apple ID, right? And I said, yes, of course I do. Why? What's up? And she says, I just want to let you know I'm attaching one of my AirTags to the back of my bra. Of course, I immediately says, okay, why are you attaching an AirTag to the back of the bra? She goes, well, just in case somebody grabs a hold of me and tries to drag me off, I want you to be able to find me. And if it's on the back and they're trying to rip or cut my shirt off, they won't see it.
Wow, all right.
Immediately, I'm shocked. I'm like,
And
wow.
proud, I would imagine.
Oh, very proud. But I'm thinking, wow, that's thinking for you. As it turned out, not that anything went wrong. She didn't get abducted, but she lost her group. And she called me from New Orleans. They were on Bourbon Street. It was late. She lost her group. It got really crowded. And she and one girlfriend were together, but somehow when they went to the bathroom, the group kind of changed locations. And so she got very concerned, and she wasn't sure where exactly the hotel was because there were so many people on Bourbon Street that she couldn't connect to her map app. So she couldn't go to Google Maps and find her way back to the hotel. So she called me, and I was like, that's okay. I got you. I logged in.
Pikachu's everywhere, right?
I logged right into her account, said, okay, I can see your AirTag. I can see you on the map. Start walking. Okay, nope, turn around, walk the other direction. She started walking. I said, okay, 3 more blocks. You're going to bank right. She banked right. I said, 2 more blocks, hotel's on the left. She's like, walked right to it, and
it.
she was home. So just simple things like that.
Sure, and sticking with the same theme before we take a break, I want to know spring break is coming up, or it's past, or summer's coming up, so this time of year, I guess all times of year, kids do go away. I know I did. What are a couple rudimentary safety tips you can say about the spring break?
Again, buddy system. Don't go off on your own. Whatever the thing is, don't go off on your own. Second, watch your drinks. The number one thing that we see across the country is people slipping stuff into your drink. There are so many drugs out there, so many ways to get somebody unconscious. So keep a hold of your drink. If you put it in a cup that has a lid on it, don't walk away from it. If you have to set it down, make sure that you can visually see it, or you leave somebody at the table who's watching all the drinks, even if you're drinking water. There are certain drugs that, even taken with water, can be a date rape drug. So we want to make sure that you always are watching what you're drinking.
Okay, well, that sounds great. And when we come back, more advice from Major Christie Mysinger of the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Healthy Living Central Florida. I'm Gina Horan here with Major Christie Mysinger. Now, I would be remiss if I didn't give you props. Major, you're the first major in Lake County, female major in Lake County history, Florida history. Talk to us.
For the Lake County Sheriff's Office, yes. I am the first female major for the history of the Lake County Sheriff's Office. Yes, that's correct.
Good. So you're a great guest, and I'm glad you're here. You're the perfect person to ask this stuff. So I do want to go through a few scenarios, things that I know that have happened to either friends or relations or coworkers or whoever of mine throughout the months and years. And because I feel like it's important for us to think about these things as we go throughout our daily life. There's so much bombarding us, information overload, and we're going here and there, and sometimes we just look down. Looking at our phone, I'm sure, is terrible to do while you're walking across the street, people, and also, while you're walking to your car. So let's start with just regular general safety. Don't look at your phone when you're coming out of the Publix with your shopping cart. Go.
So awareness is the key. If you make eye contact with people, especially somebody who's looking to maybe mug you or rob you or whatnot, that's going to back them down, generally speaking. That'll literally turn them off. Don't be the perfect victim.
So they're looking for someone who's
looking
timid.
for someone who's not paying attention. They're looking for someone who looks scared and timid and is so engrossed to their phone that they're not going to notice them walk right up and stand behind them at the door when they unlock their car so they can shove them in the car and take their car or snatch their purse. So when you exit a building, before you cross that parking lot, take that moment to survey your whole parking lot scene, make eye contact with people that are walking towards you. Let them know, I see you, you see me, we know each other are there. That way, if they're following you, you know it. If you're standing down there staring at your phone, you have no awareness of what's going on around you. Right. And that's going to allow that person the opportunity to sneak up and do something nefarious. So awareness is everything. Also, get your keys out before you exit the store.
Yes.
Worst thing I see is somebody, especially around Christmas time, they got all their bags around their arms and they're digging through that purse. And in order to do that, you have to be looking down in your purse, which means you've lost your awareness. So have your keys out in your hand so that as you're walking to your car, you can unlock it, or if you're right at the door, you can unlock it. Get inside, throw your bags to the passenger seat, shut the door, lock it. Then if you want to maneuver, play in your purse, move packages to the back.
Right, once your door's locked.
Yeah.
So you're looking around, okay, it's not that important, everyone, to get that text or whatever. Put it away, get to your car. Yes, when the door's locked.
Lock the door. Then if you need to check your text, set up your mapping for where you're going next, whatever you need to do it once you've sat down and the doors are locked. Don't do it while you're walking. Make sure that you are paying attention to what's around you and what you're parked next to. If you're going shopping in the evening hours, and we all know it gets dark in Central Florida around 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the wintertime at Christmas, park under the street light. If it's daylight when you get there, we all see the big street lights in the parking lots. Try to get close to a street light so that when you come out, you have a well-lit area to walk to. Don't park way out far where there's no lighting. And if you realize, oops, you shopped too long and now there's no lighting and maybe you are a little uncomfortable, go back in the store and ask them to have somebody escort you out. I've never heard of a store refusing to do so.
They always do that.
Always will go out with you.
One of my defense mechanisms is just to be really weird and loud and walk to my car so everyone's paying attention to me. That's something I've done, but I'm not saying everyone should do that, but that's kind of one of my things. So you might scold me a little bit, Major Mysinger, because I did go hike. I do like to hike around here, and no one ever wants to get up that early. So I'm usually by myself, but you said to at least change my, directions. What else can I do? Because the other day I was walking around and doing, complete helicopters, trying to figure out if anybody was chasing me, which maybe is a little paranoid, but what do you do, a middle-aged woman out hiking?
Well, you started out by being aware of the situation. If you saw somebody, you turned around to see, what are they doing behind me? Did they turn around and come towards you? If you start to notice somebody following you, that's the time to beeline it for the exit and get around people. Or if you meet somebody else on the trail that you can buddy up with to go ahead and finish your hike. There's also other steps you can take, such as, one, make sure your cell phone's handy. Make sure your cell phone's right there and available to make an emergency call if you need to. You can also carry defense pepper spray or tear gas, the OCCS tear gas that you can buy at pretty much any sports store like Sports Authority or Bass Pro or...
I'm always afraid I'm going to squirt myself.
They're pretty safe. I mean, they have little locks on them, so you can flip the lock, unlock it when you're ready to use it. But that's a great thing to have as a device. A loud horn or something that makes a loud noise, a whistle. Okay. Carry a whistle around you so you can start blowing the whistle to draw attention to you. That if you're out there, but if you're out there on the trail and it's really early in the morning and it's only you may be your only defense. If that's the case, then you should have some experience in how to defend yourself. So my suggestion for you is look up a local self-defense class. Most gyms have some kind of self-defense class. Maybe take Taekwondo or karate or some kind of women's self-defense class to teach you the basics. How can you get away? There's also things on the market such as handheld stun guns. I bought my daughter one when she went up to college because obviously they can't carry a firearm on campus.
Right.
So even though she's trained to use a firearm, she can't carry one, but she can carry a stun gun. Hers is a flashlight, but it has a stun gun end on it, so she can use it dual purpose. If it's dark and she needs to use the light to get to her car, great. Right. But if not, she can turn that stun gun and drive it into their belly and push them right to the ground because the only thing she needs to do is get them on the ground so she can turn and run.
Wow, don't mess with the Mysingers, any of them. I'm telling you, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She bought them for all of her sorority sisters for Christmas.
Wow.
So it was a great Christmas gift.
I guess it was. Yeah. Okay, note to self. This actually happened a couple weeks ago to someone that I know, and she's a realtor, and there's so many female realtors around here. We have a ton of them for businesswomen of style, and I've interviewed quite a few. And unfortunately, she was by herself and she went into a building, and there are open houses all the time. And some human person walked in there and locked the door behind him, and she had to run out the back door. What can the realtors do out here to keep?
Well, she did the right thing. She got away. That's the most important thing. Get away. Get as far away from it if you can. If you realize somebody's come in and they've locked a door, that's a sign that there's a problem. Get out. So I'm really proud of her that she knew to run away. Hopefully she had her phone on her person and not left it in her car or somewhere else.
But how could she have prevented that? I mean...
Well, you're not going to be able to prevent somebody from locking the door behind them. However, maybe if she's going to do an open house, maybe have her husband go with her. There's nothing wrong with taking your husband or your sister or another realtor or someone from your office to go with you to do the open house. Make it a fun girls' day and have somebody there that can kind of have that little bit of separation. So if somebody comes in, it's a whole lot harder for someone to manage two people in an attack than it is one. And at least that gives them a person to call 911 to get help immediately. Again, having the self-defense spray or some type of electronic stun gun or even if she concealed carries, anything like that to help. But again, preventative.
Correct.
Take the self-defense, have buddies with you. Don't put yourself in a situation where you're alone in a strange place where a stranger can get the advantage on you.
Right, because I mean, not everyone's married. I'm single and notoriously single, and so I'm kind of like me against the world. And so, understanding the fact that you can call people or have buddies, or at least have somebody on your phone. So
a lot of realtors have other associates in the office, and they can get into a buddy system. You help me with my open house, I'll help you with yours.
Right,
and that way there's always that connection too.
Okay. Well, speaking of being older and single, we have the Villages right down the street, and it's never too old, too young. You can always be in danger from anyone, even if you're older or my age. So quickly, women at the Villages in the squares, it can happen. So talk about, the golf cars and all that stuff to just stay safe from going from point A to point B.
Yeah, it's still going to be the same thing. Awareness. Make sure you're paying attention to who's watching you, who's following you, what's going on, and stay in groups, stay with friends. Don't go off on your own if you can avoid it. And we have a lot of single women up in the Villages that do ride their golf cart to the square and then ride back home. And there's tunnels. I've been in those tunnels that go up under the road.
There are.
If there's somebody stopped and you don't feel like if you get that little spidey sense in your brain that says, that looks a little strange, turn your golf cart around, go the other way. Take a different route. Don't become a creature of habit, because it's that habit that people pay attention to. Even the habit, we have a lot of villagers that think, hey, I live in a safe neighborhood. It's great. I'll just leave my door unlocked. No, never, ever, ever leave your doors unlocked, because there's people that might come by and just check doors. Don't leave your car doors unlocked. Don't leave your house doors unlocked. Always lock up. In fact, at the sheriff's office, we call it our 9 o'clock routine, where at 9 o'clock, everybody goes and checks their car. And
even your own personal car.
Oh, yeah, our own personal cars. We call it the 9 o'clock routine. We tell people to do that at our safety meetings and safety stuff. One of the other things that we can do, too, to help people maintain safety, especially with our villagers and even people that maybe have medical dependencies, one of the new things that has come out is called Smart 911.
Oh.
And it's a program where you can go to, if you go Google Smart 911, it's a program that allows you to preset information into the 911 system. So maybe if you live alone, or maybe if you have a spouse who, especially up in the Villages, who may have dementia, or somebody who doesn't get around well. Maybe they have mobility issues. Yeah. Or maybe they're diabetic and they have life-requiring medication. You can put all that information. You can put in the names of everybody in the house. You can put in pets that you have, so that first responders know, hey, there's a dog that might be hiding. Hey, there's a cat that might be hiding, especially if the firemen are coming, and they might want to know that so they know what they're looking for in the house. There's 6 people that live in this house, or there's just 2 of us that live in this house. These are medications that we have to have to survive. We're diabetic. That's a great thing. If we get there and they can't talk to us, having that information literally right on our 911 screen tells us what to look for.
And what's that again now?
It's called Smart 911. And you can go right to, they can go right. In fact, I think I have the little smart911.com is what they can go to. And when you put in your address, it pulls up kind of, so it's like pre-populating that. So when you call 911 from either your house phone or your cell phone, it's going to immediately give the dispatcher access to all that information so that they can let the first responder, whether it be the law enforcement or it be EMS or a firefighter, that information that might be critical to saving your life. Allergies, anything that you want to put in there, anything that they need to know. If you live out on property, maybe you have an electric gate that needs a gate code, that can go into the 911 so that we know how to get in your house. If you have a house that maybe has one of those programmable door locks, you can put a specific code just for first responders that goes into that 911 screen that a first responder can use to get in if you're unable to come to the door because you've fallen or because you're having a medical episode. So this is a really great program that will allow the first responders to have more information and help you faster and more accurately.
Well, Major Mysinger, I learned so much, and I'm so glad you're our backup for safety here in Lake and Sumter counties. Thank you so much for being here today. I could talk forever about this.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoy coming.
I did too, so thanks again, and we'll see you next time on Healthy Living Central Florida. I'm Gina Horan. See you next time.